very, very disturbing for me that not only takes it seriously, but...
Here I have the John Deere, the rear portion of our project. I'm going to start by making sure mechanically that we have something we can work with. It doesn't start all that well right now. We're going to try some starting fluid, see what it does, see if at least we can start it with starting fluid, and then we'll take it from there.
Electric standing desk is the newest addition to our line of products. They can use it to
The motor wouldn't start properly without starting fluid, so I took out the carburetor. I'll clean it up, put it back in, and see if that was the problem.
Thanks to a less than 1 inch incision, you'll be up and walking within hours of surgery, so you can get back to your life in days instead of months.
I feel like Laser Spine Institute was an
There are certain things you cannot discuss because it's classified much of the information that you learn. Most of those people that have appeared before my committee, and all of them are...
I think he's preparing himself to go to jail. I don't think he appreciates the seriousness of it.
Yeah, it looks like all we needed was to clean the carburetor. I'll set this aside for now, and we'll go on to something else.
vascular disease, and by getting them through this package,
All that really needed to be done to the Transaxle was change the oil. Apparently these things are indestructible. What makes these Transaxle so desirable is their ratio. Apparently they're like 13 to 1. That's what makes them so so powerful.
Sit down with him and talk. It's been reported, and some of
I took the front off the John Deere and put the rear of the John Deere on the lift table. I'll leave it there for now, and I'll work on the front portion. I got my hands on this four-wheeler that was junked. The motor and the transmission was busted. I got it for I think $150. The front, everything I needed on the front was good, so I figured it was a good candidate for our project. Now I have both pieces that I want to put together on the lift table. I just need to spend some time to make sure that they're set up properly at the right angle so that we can weld them together. The motor and transmission we're going to use is the original motor and transmission from the John Deere. The empty space that's left where the motor from the four-wheeler was is going to be used to house the battery, and maybe later on a built-in air compressor, but not sure about that yet. Now that I have it all welded together, I'll take it out for a test drive, see how she goes. I'm pleased with the test drive. The suspension up front is a huge improvement compared to the single wheel that it used to have. The powertrain is working good. The way I welded it was an overkill. I added some brackets and supports there. I don't anticipate any problems with it. My experience with these John Deere 5-wheelers is that the bike is too big and heavy to just have one wheel up front. I think this modification we made is going to improve not only the suspension and the comfort, but also the turning radius and the steering capabilities. I decided to remove the old wiring on both bikes and start from scratch. I figured this was the best way to go, given everything was nice and open. This should minimize any wiring issues later on. Here I'm fabricating a switch plate to house all the switches the bike will have. I thought best to put it here rather than putting all the switches on the handlebars. I think it'll look better that way and it'll be tidier. The red lever you see there on the switch plate is a battery disconnect. I never understood why 4-wheelers didn't have those. I think they're handy to have, especially if you have some kind of a short somewhere on the battery. You can isolate everything. Here I'm fabricating a plate for the tail light. The tail light was on the 4-wheeler we junked. Let's see if we can install it on the back of our new machine.
4 years. Details on the escalating crisis that's left
Someone asked why sell my business just to go work for Sears, but I didn't. I own this place.
And being an independent business owner means we make sure to treat you to the best deals and the best service.
I reinforced the winch bracket and I put on a 3,500 pound winch. That should be suitable for what we want to do. The 4-wheeler I bought didn't have front wheels. I found a couple on Kijiji. I'm just going to paint them yellow. The rear rims, we're going to use the same ones that used to be on the 5-wheeler. And I got new tires for the rear. For wheels, I like to use brushed on paint. It seems to hold better than spray. I think this hydraulic pump that I found is going to be sufficient for the hydraulic system for the box.
This is a real problem. I mean, the intellectual property theft that is happening.
You're looking at under the box where the battery and the fuel tank used to be. I removed those in order to house the whole hydraulic system. That should take up most of the room in there. You could lift the box before, but you had to lift it by hand.
We want you to do more. The
I'm quite pleased with the hydraulic system, the way it works. It's a little slow, but if we want to increase the speed, we can always reduce the size of the cylinder. As it is there, I think it's rated for 3,000 pounds. If we reduce the size of the cylinder, I don't think we're going to decrease the capability a whole bunch. Everything that's sprayed on here is sprayed on with a spray can. I'm used to it, and it works well for me. Someday maybe I'll grow up and do like the big boys. But for now, spray can is doing fine. Once the paint dries, I like to apply a couple coats of spray on wax. I find that it helps for durability and minimizes the scratches quite a bit. Overall, the plastics on this machine was in decent shape. There was a couple little cracks, so what I did is I melted in some metal pins in the cracks, sanded it down nice, and then filled out any deficiencies with Bondo, and it worked out pretty good. I ended up installing two sets of LED lights up front. The bottom ones I have tilted wide, and then the top one's kind of like the headlights. The bottom set I got locally here. I think I paid $100. They're made by Grote. And the top ones I got on Amazon. I think I only paid $16 for those. But they do light quite well. It's a huge improvement compared to what the factory lights used to do. This box used to have just a slide-in tailgate. I didn't like it. was flimsy. So I took it out and decided to build a pickup truck type tailgate. Now you can stand on it, sit on it, whatever. It's a lot stronger than it was. I got the cables from the junkyard from an actual pickup truck tailgate. It worked out good. If you're wondering about the decals on this machine, there's a guy in town here locally that that'll make any type of decal you want. When it was time to find a plow, I went on Kijiji and found this this plow that I liked. I liked it because it was heavy duty and it was 5 feet wide. Once I took it home and sandblasted it, I was quite pleased. All that was left to do was to fabricate a bracket to go underneath the four-wheeler to accommodate the plow. I thought this skid shoe bracket needed a bit more support, so I added it. I also added a support for the springs. It was oddly made, so I improved it a bit. I didn't like it that you have to get off the machine to tilt the plow from side to side. So I found an electric actuator that was used on a John Deere tractor for lifting implements. I modified the bracket and installed it. That's it there. And it worked out really good. I'm happy that I was able to keep the original motor and transmission from the John Deere. It worked out pretty good. This thing is a real workhorse. It's not built for speed, but it's very strong. Here in the snow, I was surprised just how well it goes along and it doesn't struggle at all. A lot of it has to do with the sheer weight of the machine, and I think a lot has to do with the way it's geared. Like I said earlier, it's geared slow, and that helps a lot for power. It doesn't seem to need RPM for a whole lot. I have it set up so that the front and rear brakes are on the handlebars. That way it freed up the foot brake pedal. I have it set up so that the brake pedal is fastened to the rear locking differential. If ever you need it, all you need to do is push your foot on the brake pedal. I have a couple sandbags in the box. There's probably 100-150 pounds there. That and my fat ass on the machine, there was no need to use the locking differential. Well, that's the end of the video, folks. Obviously, I left a lot of stuff out to try to keep this video a reasonable length. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and until the next one.